Pulp Fiction, please. So after he,
Yes. So
after
as
he,
as we get into it, I just have to say, if one of you pricks move, I'm gonna execute every motherfucking last one of you.
yeah,
Here we go, baby. The
so
night about this.
after the moderate success of Reservoir Dogs, Tarantino bought a car, and he also bought a 3-month trip to Amsterdam, where he spent a huge amount of his time just writing as much as he could. He sat down, he got in touch with his friend Roger Avery. He's like, "Hey, want to help make a script with me? I want to make a story about like all my favorite pulp novels I used to collect, all these like 40s, 30s gangster tropes I want to implement, but I want to make it real." So he spent a lot of time in Amsterdam, came back, and got himself in touch with Danny DeVito and a couple other people, and he got Pulp Fiction off the ground. Assembled a massive cast and shot within a pretty quick amount of time. Not a huge budget either. Just like I'll talk more about what he spent it on, but like yeah, he just assembled this project together, and what came out was like considered one of the greatest things in cinematic history.
And it truly does deserve so, because I'll never forget my first thought that I said after I watched Pulp Fiction. After I snuck and watched Pulp Fiction
Yeah,
for
you
the first
sneaky
time,
devil.
my first thought was, well, I'm gonna need to watch this again.
That's what I said too. Yeah.
I need to watch this again immediately, because I felt like I just watched something that I've never seen anything like that before. It was like I had seen the true language of cinema just going through my ears, hearing it the first time. Like everybody was speaking gibberish my whole life, and then all of a sudden I hear just pure joy. And I don't even know where to begin with Pulp Fiction. This is so strange. I don't know if you feel the same way. It's like
A little bit. It is a daunting task trying to talk about it and not sound like everybody else in the world, like, oh, the non-linear storytelling, oh, the dialogue, oh, the acting. And I'm like, yeah,
so to really just kind of like just give people like not even a synopsis, but basically it's just
how the fuck do you break this script down in like a sentence? It's
it's
like,
it's a film that jumbles around three stories that follows two hitmen, their boss, including his wife especially, and
and
a boxer.
yeah, down and out boxer, yeah. Yeah, there's,
And this is where like the where I was saying the structure really helps out this movie. And for anybody that would actually re-edit it and make it linear, go to hell.
oh, I was kind of tempted to do that just for fun to see it, like how it would turn
No,
out.
that's what makes it work so well. Because how can you include the way that the ending was, where you're like, there's no way to focus on who we're supposed to focus on, Honey Bunny and Pumpkin, or is Jules and Vincent?
No,
No,
the ending of the movie is actually technically Butch when he drives off into his motorcycle, because that comes out at the end of the movie. That's the last
Zed's
shot,
dead,
technically.
baby. Zed's dead.
Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead. That's the last line of the movie, technically.
Here, first off, I'll ask you this question.
Okay.
Out of the Gold Watch, the Bonnie situation, and Vincent Vega and Marcellus Wallace's wife, which is your favorite story?
I'm not really big on the Bonnie situation, except for the
Ooh.
beginning. I don't mind, but it's the latter half that kind of gets a little limp for me. And the Vincent Vega one is pretty great too. I do like I like it all the way throughout. I kind of like the Gold Watch. I think it's kind of underrated. It's the one that was actually written by Roger Avery and not Tarantino.
Oh,
The only thing I don't like the beginning. It's very slow. It's like the only part of the movie that I kind of wish I could fast forward through, because like I'm not a big fan of like Butch's girlfriend or the Esmeralda de Villa de Lobos character. I have a South American girlfriend, and even she said her accent sounded fake. So that's kind of funny. Yeah, but like I'm not really. There's one section I'll say like I don't really like so much in Pulp Fiction, but after he finds out, where the fuck's my gold watch? Was it by the kangaroo? Ugh. And he gets all mad because he realizes he has to, like, go on this epic journey to find his watch. Has to be super careful. Has to take down anyone who gets in his way just to get his father's watch, which is brilliantly set up by Christopher Walken in his monologue. This is so out of left field.
Damned if your father knew that he had the Germans away from his watch, so he hid it. And the only place that he could ever hide it, in his ass.
Yeah, in his ass. And then he later died of dysentery, so I hid this uncomfortable piece of metal up my ass. And now, little man, I give this to you. Ding! He just takes it. But I love the ending of the Gold Watch, too. I think Butch's arc is, like, severely underrated, because when you think of his character, like, everyone thinks of Jules and Vincent. They're, like, the most iconic part of the movie, honestly, next to, like, maybe Mia Wallace. Like, Butch is kind of underrated, in my opinion, because, like, he's set up, he has to do this thing for Warren, he has to do a favor for Wallace, he has to, like, you know, lose a fight for him, and he doesn't want to do that because he has too much of his family heritage in him. Every single one of his patriarchs either fought in a war or died in a war, and he was in that weird generational gap that didn't have a war, and so the only thing he can do to kind of like stomach that ancient bloodlust is to be a boxer, and like he's not doing too well at that. So like this entire journey with him almost feels like almost a spirit quest or an odyssey where everything goes wrong again and again and again. But he's like, well, actually, it turns out fine. He gets. Here's an unexpected part. I did not expect him to kill Vincent Vega, in the bathroom.
I always thought like Vincent was his last thought when he comes out of the bathroom. His last thought was, "Hey, I wanted those Pop-Tarts."
I wanted those Pop-Tarts. You know, it's so subtly hinted at, but the rivalry between Butch and Vincent. If you pay attention, like during the bar scene where like Jules is talking to Marcellus and Vincent's just sitting there, and Butch is like, a pack of red apples, and then Vincent gets like sort of antagonistic, and you're wondering why. I think the reason is because he put a bet against Butch, and I think either Butch won or lost, and Vincent lost like a shitload of money because of that. And then he loses all respect for Butch, and so Butch has a pair of keys in his hand. He kind of like whips it in the air, and then he like walks out. And in the beginning of the Mia Wallace segment, Vincent's complaining, he's like, I had my fucking car back. I had all this time. Guess what? Someone fucking keyed it. Yeah. Oh man, those people should be fucking shot.
It was clearly Butch that keyed his car. I picked up on that as well.
Yeah, okay, great. I feel like I'm one of the few who picked up on that. And then, like, there's sure enough, they encounter each other again, and Butch is like, he shoots him with a really, really comically, hugely silenced Uzi.
Yeah.
But another thing I like about that segment is the hunter becomes the hunted. It's like as soon as like Butch hits him with a car and it fades to black like a Jackass clip, the freaking Kathy Griffin shows up, who was dating Tarantino at the time. Actually, I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't.
Yeah, no, they were dating very, very briefly, I guess. I don't know.
If you need to go to court, I have a guy that could totally help you. That guy was a drunken maniac. He hit you, and then he crashed into that car. Yeah,
he's right there. And we finally see Marcellus Wallace's face. Oh, be damned. And then we have this really, really gritty, like, foot chase. It's not, like, clean at all. Marcellus is dazed. Butch is, like, not all there either. They're all concussed. And they're shooting. Marcellus is shooting wildly at him. Butch is, like, cowering behind a wall. And he still has to keep running. And then we get to the pawn shop. And this is where the entire story takes such a direct left turn that I fucking love it. So rather than, like Butch takes down Marcellus, he's like, you feel that, big boy? That's pride fucking with you. And then he's, like, ready to shoot him. And then Maynard comes out with a shotgun. I always thought Maynard kind of looks like redneck Kevin Smith. And then he's, like, he incapacitates the both of them, ties them up down in the basement. Then Zed comes in and plays an evil game. He takes out a gimp from their, like, sex dungeon. I don't know why they have him there. I think he does it for fun. He does, you know, it's what he does on the weekends. You know, it's a moonlighting gig, I guess. That whole scene is just eerie. Like the whole, I can really feel the palpation between the two men as they're tied, and it's like no longer a fight between the two of them. They're both just like equally fucked. Maybe more so on Marcellus's part. That was a bad joke. But anyways, he plays a malicious game of eeny, meeny, miny, mo, takes him away. The evil jazz music starts playing. Butch is like, fuck this, breaks the chair, hits the gimp, runs away. And then my favorite shot in Pulp Fiction is when he's like at the door, ready to come out. And when he opens the door, you see a lot of shadow on his face, kind of saying like, oh, this would be like the wrong move to make. And then he like turns his head, and then all this like light shines on his head. And it's like, this is the right thing you should do. And he has like this moral quandary.
Stop you. I want to ask you this question. My mom
Another
and I
question.
get into a debate all the time when it comes to Butch's decision in this.
Mm-hmm.
I think that she believes she went back to save Marcellus, to save his own ass. But I actually think that it's a mix of both, where he's trying to save his own ass, but also know that like, this is kind of shitty. This is a shitty situation. I should probably save him. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's his time to shine, to finally be like a hero of the story. Because yeah, you're right. I do understand that Butch really doesn't owe Marcellus jack shit. The guy tried to kill him for fuck's sakes. But at the same time, I think like Butch feels like he can't just leave him there, and I'm glad he didn't. A lot of people say he should have, but if he did, Marcellus's goons would probably have even more reason to kill Butch because they probably thought he had something to do with him dying.
Exactly.
So exactly.
It just makes it so satisfying when like Butch goes downstairs, takes out Maynard, and then he's like threatening Zed. And then
you want to pick up that gun, don't you, Zed?
You see Marcellus right behind him, and then it just goes to slow motion of him clocking the gun.
Step aside, Butch.
Fuck. And then you just hear, "Step aside, Butch." And you're like, yes!
I cheered when that happened. And just one moment before like we go into that part, I love this is a very cute piece of scenery or set design. I know I mentioned this in Reservoir Dogs with just some irrelevant like watch your head, but like this I think is actually way more deliberate. When Butch is searching for weapons, there's a neon sign close to like the basement door that's lit up. It's supposed to spell something, but most of it's dead. The only words that are spelled out are kill and then ED at the bottom. Yeah, if you pay attention to that scene, there's like a neon sign that spells out the word killed, and I feel like that was intentional for some reason. And then every single weapon he picks up, except for like a chainsaw, every single weapon in that movie was later used in a Tarantino movie. Baseball bat, you got Donnie Donowitz. Hammer, you got like Calvin Candy. And then a fucking katana sword, which is of course Kill Bill. I love his reaction to that sword. He's just like loses his heart skips a beat because he can't believe he saw such a cool weapon. But yeah, no, I love the fact that Marcellus Wallace actually like lets go of all past grievances, because technically Butch saved his life, and they let all bygones be as long as Butch doesn't spill the beans about what just happened. It makes Marcellus kind of an interesting like character. I feel like he had to do something to become the powerful man he became. Maybe we'll talk about that when we touch on the briefcase, but like I feel like he's gone through some shit, and he knows when you fuck with him, you're gonna pay with your life. Yeah. So yeah, I think the Gold Watch is easily my favorite of the bunch, just because of like the way it kind of like spirals down into madness, and the payoff at the end is satisfying to me. And I just find maybe it's not the best part of the movie, but I just find it so underrated. It's not. When I first watched the movie, nobody talked about that scene, and then I watched it, I was like, holy fuck, this is amazing.
And just even the fact that we don't actually see the boxing match between him and Floyd.
Yeah, it's irrelevant.
It kind of reminds me of how we don't see the heist in Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, no, because it's irrelevant. The point of the match is Butch betrays Marcellus. He accidentally kills Floyd in a heat of passion because he wants to win. I guess he really pulled no stops. But it was it's because he didn't tie his laces right on his gloves or whatever. He shouldn't have it done in the first fucking place. I have a question. For you, Cody.
Yeah,
At the end of the story, when he's with oh god, why do I keep forgetting her name?
Mariana,
or something like that. Yeah, Fabiana. That's her name, Fabiana.
Davion. Oh no, I'm thinking of somebody else. Sorry.
Okay, sorry. So when he arrives at the hotel, and Fabiana is like all exacerbated because her boyfriend's a mess, and she's like, just get on the fucking bike. I had the weirdest fucking day. Do you think he's gonna tell Fabiana absolutely everything that transpired? Marcellus is gonna somehow know about it, and he's gonna go back to trying to kill Butch again for retribution.
Do I think that would happen?
Do you think that like he's gonna spill the beans and that will be his undoing?
No, actually, I have more of an interpretation behind it. I think it's just not gonna work out for both of them. Like, she's gonna fucking leave him shortly after because Fabian is such a cute and very like innocent person that just simply wants like just the right man. And Butch is such a hardcore extremist, and they clash a lot even before he starts blowing up on her when she forgot the watch.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just they have a lot of like uncomfortable bickering, and like their romance is very like surface level, and I think that's the point.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's probably why I don't really.
Butch is like flirting and hitting it off with the fucking taxi driver Esmeralda way more.
No, you felt more chemistry with the taxi driver. It's like, what does it like to kill a man?
During that scene,
to kill a man.
And yeah, during that question, I wanted to ask you, when Esmeralda says like you killed the other boxer, he kind of says to himself under his breath, "Oh, I'm sorry, Floyd."
Sorry, Floyd.
But then after when she gives him a cigarette and she wants to know how does it feel that you killed the man, he goes, "To be honest with you, I don't feel at least bad about it at all." And I'm like, "Well, wait, you just kind of like." I'm like, "Wait, do you feel sorry or do you not feel sorry?" I've always questioned and pondered over that.
I don't know. I think he's not like. I think he feels like a mild bit of remorse, but at the end of the day, he just. I think he's just had enough of boxing and the way his life has turned out. And if it means that he gets to do something else with himself, if it means that he never has to box again, if it means he can just live a comfortable life for the rest of his time, I think he's comfortable with it. Because you gotta remember, like it goes down with his family basically. They're all like fighters and soldiers and like killers. Like I think it's just in his blood to be a little bit like blasé towards the subject of death.
Yeah.
I mean, he shot Vincent with no compunction or like anything holding him back. I think that's just kind of the way he is. He's just like hardened. He's a hard person.
And even I don't know if you picked up this thing, and there's been a theory out there. This kind of I guess wait, is that all you have to say about the gold watch? Because actually, what I'm about to say is going to segue nice into the next story I want to bring up.
Yeah. No, I said enough about the gold watch. I talked about it for like 20 minutes or something.
But when he was on his way to his apartment, and he parks the car like a couple blocks away, and he starts going through all those backyards to kind of infiltrate and get in quietly. You hear very quickly when he passes a building, it's someone with their TV on really loud, and it's like the news, and you can clearly hear the person on the other end saying, "Jackrabbit Slims."
I think I remember that. Yeah, Jackrabbit Slims.
And I was like, "Hey, why? There's a reason why that's there. Why are they saying the name of the restaurant that Vincent and Mia are at?" And people speculate that they lost the dance-off competition.
Oh yeah, this theory.
And they stole the trophy.
You know what? I actually think if they ever made a video game about Pulp Fiction, I guarantee that would be a level where like, no matter how well you do at the dance competition, someone else wins. Mia's all upset, and as Vince, you have to infiltrate the back. You have to go to the back of the building where the people are. You have to like steal his trophy and destroy their fucking car in retribution. And then you get the trophy, and Mia's all happy. It's like, how'd you do that? I'm very persuasive sometimes. Like it would be like a Rockstar game. But yeah, that's actually not a bad theory. I think that's true because their dancing is a bit goofy. I won't lie.
Oh yeah, totally.
It's so goofy, but it's an iconic scene nonetheless. Yeah, so you wanna talk about Mrs. Mia Wallace?
Mrs. Mia Wallace and Vincent Vega.
Yeah.
No, the other story. Well, it's not my favorite story. We'll get to that one, but just a quick little thing on Vincent Vega and Marcellus Wallace's wife is that he's taking his boss's wife out for dinner and keeping her company while
And take
Marcellus
care
Wallace
of her.
is out. And there's a lot running on this night that needs to go very well because he's heard stories about people that fuck with Mia.
Yeah, Tony Rocky Horror.
Fucking poor Tony Rocky Horror gets thrown out of a fucking 4-story window, was it?
Yeah, fell through a greenhouse all over a foot massage.
Developed a speech impediment after that.
That's a damn shame.
So there's a lot riding on this night, so he has to kind of keep it cool. So it starts off with him just buying some drugs from his drug dealer, Lance. They're just kind of shooting the shit, and he's Lance is bagging the drugs from him. He says, as what you said before about someone keyed his car, he's all pissed off about it.
Yeah.
So it's establishing right away that he holds a true passion towards his car. He's like, you just don't fuck with a man's vehicle,
Yeah.
Like he holds a lot of passion towards it. And then he gets high in this intense, awesome, extreme close-up scene of
set to Bullwinkle Part 2.
It's done. It's pretty awesome. And then Mia and Vincent go to Jackrabbit Slim's, and it's just like this 50s and 60s, themed diner, and probably one of the best sets I've ever seen in any movie.
Good
ever.
Fucking God. When I first watched Pulp Fiction, I was like saying to myself, if this is a real location, I want to go. That's all I want to do. I want to see this location. Yeah. But it only took, I think by the 10th or 12th time I watched the movie, like after high school, I realized, like, I found out it was a set. You can kind of tell because when they're like doing the dance, you can kind of see the roof of the place, and it's fairly open for some reason. You can see like lights shooting from above. That's just like that was a giveaway. And funny enough, they spent most of their budget on that set, and it shows.
Oh, it shows.
All the details. Jesus Christ.
It's an extravaganza of the 50s and 60s. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're hitting it off nicely. And you can almost tell, like, is this gonna go away where there's gonna be an affair almost, because she's so flirty and he's also so flirty as well. And
they're both high.
And they're both very high. Yeah, she's high on cocaine. He's high on heroin.
Yeah.
Then it's brought up, like, so this whole Tony Rocky Horror thing, did this actually happen? And she kind of feels a bit, like, offended. Like, really? You think I'm married to a guy that would do that? And by the way, like, the only thing he ever touched wasn't my feet. It was my hand when he shook it at my wedding.
Yeah, which is interesting because the first thing we ever see of Mia, other than her lips, when she enters the scene, is her feet. And so we see of her when she's in. First thing we see of Vincent.
Jumping ahead, but after how the night just goes horribly wrong after that, what do Vincent and Mia do in the end?
They shake hands.
They shake hands and said, "This never happened." That's all. Yeah.
That's a clever. That's clever. I actually didn't know. I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
I wish. See, here's the reason why I want to. If I could just rewatch Pulp Fiction with a blank slate, because at the end of that scene. Actually, how about we talk about like what happens like after like the date and all that? Because I want to talk about the ending. So like after
they do the dance off. They're dancing a Chuck Berry. It's all great.
Uma Thurman hated that song, by the way. She kept complaining to Tarantino. Was like, this song doesn't really work or fit. It's kind of a silly song. Tarantino was like, no, it's perfect. It's perfect. Do it. And she was like, she kind of hated the song, but like she still pulled it off. And
the funny thing is that the scene was written before John Travolta was casted.
Yeah, so isn't that weird? You cast Saturday Night Fever to do this dance sequence.
So when we got John Travolta on board, he's like, great, we got an excuse to have Travolta dance again. Awesome.
I just love when they're dancing together, and by the end of it, you kind of see John just staring at Uma Thurman's boobs. He's just going, just bobbing his head up and down, looking at her chest, while she's flaunting like no tomorrow. Yeah.
So they go back to Mia's house, and she puts on "Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon."
Yeah, Urge Overkill.
And Vincent's in the washroom. He's just contemplating with himself. Okay, you're gonna just go home and keep it cool. Like, this is like, he's like,
yeah, have a good night, take a drink, go home, jerk off, and that's all you're gonna do.
That's all you gotta do. But,
we've all been there.
Wishing looking through. She was wearing Vincent's coat. She's going through his pockets, and then she discovers what she thinks is cocaine, but it's actually heroin.
Oh.
Vincent ODs, and Vincent just comes out of the washer. You know what I noticed? Every time Vincent in this movie, the 3 times he comes out of the bathroom,
Shit goes down. Shit goes down in every story.
Some shit goes down.
The only time shit doesn't go down is when Jules is in the bathroom with them. Unless you want to talk about how he turned one towel into a maxi pad, but that's the least of his problems. Every time he goes to a bathroom. Yeah, so if Jules accompanies him in a bathroom, he's fine, but every time he's alone, shit goes down.
So Vincent's fucking panicking. He grabs Mia, drives literally fucking full speed to Lance's house, and they're still awake. It's like the middle of the night. They're like
watching Three Stooges,
cereal, watching cartoons. Him, his wife, and who's Judy?
The actress who plays Judy?
No, sorry, no. Judy was the wife. That was Rosanna Arquette.
Jody. I can't remember. You know, it's weird. I actually forget her name. But yeah.
I'm mixing their names up. Sorry, it's Trudy and Jody.
Okay, yeah. Trudy's the Scottish girl who always gets high, and Jody is Rosanna Arquette.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love. Trudy does not do a single goddamn thing the entire movie. But it's funny because Tarantino literally had her there just to say, I want to experiment. Like, what if we just had a random bystander character in every scene with these characters? And she's actually considered like one of the greatest Scottish actresses of all time, oddly enough. I haven't seen her in anything else, but that's kind of funny.
But this is where Vincent's car whole conversation pays off wonderfully, where he does not give a flying fuck of what his car is like, because he just rams that car into the house.
Have you lost your fucking mind? Yeah. Oh man, I love it. It's like it's this fucked up bitch, and just drops me out like a sack of potatoes. Have you noticed this one detail where like they're going into the house? It's all frantically shot, but you see on one of the tables, there's like a couple board games, the Game of Life and Operation, stacked on top of each other.
Yes. Yeah, they need
that's so cute.
To save a life.
God bless the set designer of this movie. My lord, so many cute little details that you pick up over time.
So they bring in Mia, and Lance is like, "Okay, the only way to bring her back is if we have to literally inject this needle of adrenaline into her heart. But the only way to do that is to pierce through her breastplate. So you have to bring it down fast in a stabbing motion."
I gotta stab her 3 times.
No, you don't have to stab her 3 times. Just stab her once. Which leads to, oh my god, this is like one of the fucking tense, like this is just a classic fucking scene.
Yeah, great example of tension.
There that when this movie premiered at Cannes, somebody had like a fucking heart attack because the scene was that intense.
Oh man.
I don't know if that's true or not, but like, it's always kind of something unrelated. Like it was probably just like an actual like health condition, but like. The fact that it happened at that particular moment was pretty coincidental, and did you know that whole scene is filmed in reverse?
Oh, you mean the scene where like he stabs the needle?
Yeah, well, yeah, not the whole scene.
I was gonna say.
He's raising his hand.
Yeah, he pulls out. You can kind of tell by the reactions of the other people, but yeah, I read something about that. Where it's all shot in reverse.
To injure Uma, but actually, if you play it in reverse, it does look like he's really swinging it down. You know,
oh yeah,
it's very effective.
No, it's super, and then she like revives instantly. She's like she's running around screaming like a banshee. Yeah. It's like, if you're with us, say something. And as she has a needle in her boob, she's like, something. That was fucking trippy. And then, they look like friggin' zombies by the time they drive back. And this is what I wanted to get at earlier, where it's like, if I could rewatch this movie with a blank slate, when Mia says her joke that she recites from, like, her pilot, like, from Fox Force 5, and she's just like, is like, the tomato joke, I wish I could rewatch this scene with blank face, because when I saw that for the first time, I actually cracked up laughing. Because it just broke all the tension that this whole story was building up to. It was such a nice way to end the story. But now every time I watch the movie...
She felt embarrassed. You know, she didn't really want to tell him the joke earlier on in the movie. But even after all that commotion and, like, near-death experience, like she still warmed up to him at the end and felt comfortable.
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna tell you this joke now.
Yeah, it's a sweet ending, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But every time I watch that joke, it's like I know how it's gonna play out, and I'm just that's what happens. I just wish I could watch that again with fresh eyes.
But to go back, just to go, we got one more.
We're gonna go into the Bonnie situation, huh? All right. Might as well. We're 2/3 of the way through the fucking movie.
So it's just you just nicknamed this review Quentin Tarantino, but mostly Pulp Fiction.
Well, that's why I want to do a slurp about Pulp Fiction, because I knew this was the one we were going to talk about the most, because we love it so much.
Okay.
That's fine.
But, you got Vincent and Jules, good old Jules, played by.
This is Jules' story. Samuel Jackson, yeah.
It is clearly, the Bonnie situation is his story, and this is my favorite from beginning, middle to, actually I should say from beginning to end. They're on their way to blow away a couple of guys. They're establishing, they're talking about what they call a quarter pounder with cheese in Paris.
Royale with cheese.
Royale with cheese.
Great dialogue.
They're talking about, when Mia was on the show Fox Force 5, and they go to the Tony Rocket horror situation, the whole story.
They set up so many things so early on that play off in different storylines, yeah.
It's so great. They're basically just on their way to do a job, but they fill in so much, like, again, nuanced dialogue and so much mundane and fun dialogue to hear. It's cool to hear.
Yeah. Before we did this podcast, I was actually reading the script of Pulp Fiction, and like that whole hallway scene is 2.5 pages of dialogue, and they have to shoot it on a steady cam because like that's how they were able to pull it off so smoothly. So I can't imagine how many takes it took to get it right. There's one flub near the end. It's like it's like when Vincent's talking about the foot massage thing. It's like I'm not saying it's nothing, but I'm saying it does. And Marcellus knew it, and fucking Marcellus knew it, and Antoine should have fucking known better. It's the one flub. Yeah, he said it kind of awkwardly, but I think it was like the best take they had, so like they had to live with it.
Yeah,
I should have fucking known better.
Yeah, he said better twice in the same sentence. I always thought that was kind of strange.
Yeah, I think that's the only flub in that bit. But hey, what are you gonna do? It's film. It's not digital. Yeah. But then we get to the breakfast scene.
The breakfast scene is by far, at least for my money, the greatest scene in cinematic history.
Oh shit! Yeah,
I'm going with that bold statement. That is a scene in its fucking pure perfection.
That is a bold statement.
I don't give a fuck what anyone says. That is a movie scene. That is like, when I think of a scene from a movie, it is that fucking scene. Mm-hmm. Sam Jackson owns that fucking scene. Like, and it should have just been like, open the door, bang, 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 you're done. But he toys with them so beautifully.
Yeah, it's an escalation of toying around, eating their food, like trying to be friendly at first, but quickly losing patience, and it just snaps on a dime. Oh, I'm sorry, did I break your concentration?
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Yeah, the exchange with Frank Whaley, who plays Brett, is so great. And I love how Vincent's not even...
Anytime you look up on YouTube, all these like idiot amateur filmmakers trying to reenact the scene, the one that's playing Brett is always the worst fucking actor ever.
Well, because they think it's easy. They think it's easy to play Brett. Like, you just sit there on a chair and say lines. But no, Frank Whaley knows shit's gonna go down. He's trying to be nice, and he's trying to be like, civil. But he can't handle the pressure. None of them can.
This is probably how every story of every single reenactment of that scene went down. One kid goes, I love this movie, Pulp Fiction. Hey, do you guys want to all reenact it? Yeah, sure, what do we do? Okay, so I'm clearly going to play Jules.
The director's always Jules.
Always the one who initiates it is probably going to play Jules.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Overact, memorize the lines as much as possible.
Playing Vincent's probably the easiest part.
Sorry, anyways, after Jules and Vincent blow these two guys away, but there's only one more left, and it's not Marvin.
It's Jerry Seinfeld.
It's Jerry Seinfeld.
Actually, it's not Jerry Seinfeld. It's another Arquette.
Jerry Seinfeld.
I always call him Jerry Seinfeld. Can you imagine, like, die, you motherfucker!
What's the deal with shooting
What's...
them? Why would you do this?
Oh, no! I missed every time! Man, they need to... What's the deal with pistols? Oh, Jesus. I'm trying to find out...
And then we have to bring up the one and only flaw in this perfect movie.
Yeah, you told me about this. Yeah.
The bullets are in the wall before he shoots. He comes out of the room, basically.
Yeah, just barges in, guns blazing.
And what's so funny is that, like, it comes out later. Like, the movie later on would come out on DVD and Blu-ray and all these, like, anniversary things. That's such a quick, easy touch-up to do.
Yeah.
Cover up those.
No, you could easily fix it nowadays, sure, but...
And it's just so distracting. If you know it's there, it's distracting. It's hard to kind of ignore it. But, like, and I get why it's there, because they filmed that 2-shot, all-in-one continuous, take of him saying, Marvin, I'd knock that shit off if I were you, and they're supposed to look over, and then they look down, like, they didn't get shot, they look at each other and blow them away, like, it's all one continuous take.
The guy who plays the dude with the gun is Alexis Arquette. You probably remember her best from The Wedding Singer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I just thought I'd point that out because
I think she passed away.
Yeah, she passed away, unfortunately, 2016. It's too bad. I liked her. Yeah, but yeah, you're right. That continuity error is kind of glaring. It makes me wonder: did they shoot this on a set or something, or did they actually use like some rundown apartment and they can only do so much with it?
Okay, definitely the hallway stuff is like even just the lobby of the apartment.
Oh yeah, that has to be a real place.
That's a real place, but the set itself, I don't know. It might be like. I haven't looked up on that.
I'm just thinking like a student filmmaker, like I just shoot it in my apartment or something like that.
Yeah.
Kind of like
it. Shoot it in their house.
It doesn't feel like a set, but it could be, you know?
Going back to these horrible reenactments, every time it's supposed to be Big Kahuna Burger, and, Jules is trying to guess, like, where's your food from? McDonald's, Wendy's? It's always McDonald's that they use in all the reenactments.
Was it McDonald's? Yeah. Can't you read, Jules? And then, yeah.
There's one guy that's left. He comes out of the bathroom, fires his gun at Jules and Vincent, and they're perfectly fine. The bullets pass them. Yeah. And Jules just has this complete epiphany and life transformation period where he said, God did this, and I clearly need to be out of this job, and Vincent thinks he's crazy. This is just these things happen. It's strange.
He's pretty blasé, yeah.
Now I believe, and this is kind of funny. In religion class in high school,
oh yeah,
our teacher brought up Pulp Fiction, and I was like, oh my god, we're talking about Pulp Fiction in religion class. I'm so happy I didn't skip out on this day. But he brought up on how the briefcase and how, the whole theory on how it's clearly Marcellus's soul, because in certain African American tribes, in Africa, certain tribes believe that the soul comes from the back of the neck. And anytime you see Marcellus Wallace throughout this movie, he always has a Band-Aid on the back.
Yeah, the Band-Aid.
And it's the combination of the safe is 666. Is he getting his soul back from hell?
And anytime anyone looks in that suitcase, they're just totally transfixed at its beauty. And oftentimes the soul is the most beautiful part of a person.
And I believe, and we were bringing this up in religion class, or at least the teacher was bringing it up on how, like, God may have stopped those bullets, but in return, he put a magic bullet, or at least one of those bullets inside of Vincent's gun, which causes it to go off and blow Marvin's head off.
Oh man, I shot Marvin in the face.
That line gets me every fucking time.
He just doesn't care.
No, it's like he doesn't care, but he's also just like it's almost like it's like Tarantino said, okay, the way I want you to say I shot Marvin in the face is if like you spilt a little bit of water on your floor.
No, it's like you're trying. You got a piece of. It's like you got a piece of trash and you want to throw it to the garbage bin across the room and you think you're gonna make it, but you're off. It's like, oh, now I gotta go pick it up.
Oh man, I missed the garbage can.
Oh man, that could have been so cool. I fucked it up. Yeah, and this leads into Jimmy Dimmick.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Jules is like, we clearly need to clean up this mess. We're gonna get caught by cops, you know. So they're like, okay, I got a friend in the neighborhood. His name's Jimmy. I'll call him up. We'll deal with it when we get there. And yeah, we get Mr. Quentin. Well, Tarantino played Mr. Brown, a very quick little, you know.
He's fine in Reservoir Dogs, to be honest. He delivers his dialogue pretty competently.
He's not highlighted. He's just sort of there, whatever. But then, like,
you can tell he's happy to be in a movie, though.
Oh yeah,
easily.
And I guess he's so happy to be in this scene because it gives him an excuse to say the N-word like numerous times.
Yeah, right in front of Jules. And the weirdest thing is his character is married to a black woman, like Bonnie.
Yeah, his wife is black. It's like it's like just like being angry. Like, is he trying to say like being angry just like, you know, unleashes the inner racism that's within us?
There is a reason why he's written like that, and it's because initially, I read this somewhere. I can't confirm nor deny. Initially, Jimmy Dimmick was supposed to be played by Dave Chappelle. That was the actor who would have played him. Yeah, they wanted him to do the role, and I think he almost agreed or something. And I think on the day, like a day or two before they shot that scene, he backed out or he was like pulled away for something else, and they couldn't get an actor in time. So I think Tarantino was like, "My time to shine." Never mind like what he does. So I think that's maybe why Tarantino's acting is kind of like all over the place with that scene, because like he didn't have time to rehearse it. It wasn't a role suited for him, so he had to play it because, you know, it's just the way it is. And to be honest, well, I don't think Tarantino's a good actor. I always just see him being him. But I gotta say, for that, I kind of like that scene. Ironically, it just makes me giggle for some damn reason. Just like him, like, you can tell like the actors are probably not even in the same room. They just put a camera in front of Tarantino. It's like, hey, just go through the lines, you know, go through the lines. Then we'll get like reverse of the two of them, just like, because they're not in the same room in that scene. And it's just like, his inflections are so funny. It's like, don't Jimmy me, Jules, okay? Now Bonnie gets here in an hour and a half. You gonna make some phone calls? You gonna call some people? Well, then do it, and then get the fuck out of here before my wife gets home. Like, he's so whiny. It's like you're ruining it. He's fucking up his shit right now. It's ironically bad, but I can excuse it.
We'll get into it later on, but it's nowhere near as bad as his little thing in fucking Django. Oh
the Australian accent. We'll touch on that briefly. But yeah, Tarantino, not a strong actor. He's got this weird screen presence. I think I said earlier, it always reminds me of like David Lynch. I just see David Lynch, but at the same time, I can't take my eyes off him because his acting's just kind of on a whole new level of what. Anyway, so yeah, and then that leads into one of my favorite small characters.
Before Jimmy's wife Bonnie comes home, and if she does, all hell will break loose. He's gonna get a fucking divorce and
no trial separation. I'm gonna get fucking divorced. I don't want to get fucking divorced.
So
yeah, so they have to call.
Jules calls at first Marcellus. You know, we need some help. So he's like, all right, I'm gonna send this guy the wolf.
Yeah.
He's like, you're sending the wolf? Oh my god.
Shit, that's all he had to say. Winston Wolfe is one of my favorite characters in the movie, and like he's like the dream first assistant director. He's the best first assistant director you could possibly imagine. He gets everyone on task. He's very curt. He's very thorough. He knows exactly what to do no matter what situation. He's a fixer, right? So, but he's so good, and he's nice. He's complimentary. He's not like horribly rude, but he's gruff too. He and Vincent just straight up don't get along because Vincent's a fuck up.
Well, because Vincent is he's just so driven by like his ego, and he doesn't want to be told what to do. He's just like,
he's a punk. Please would be nice. I'm not here to say please. I'm here to say what you want. And if you want to deal with this without me, lots of luck, gentlemen. So please, put the sugar on top, a little cherry on top, clean the fucking car. He's nice to Jimmy. I love the bit where
Jules and Vincent get down and dirty cleaning up the back of the car.
Why am I on gray matter duty detail? Clean up this car.
They clean themselves up, and then they have to dispose of the body. It's just like Vincent Wolf is just like he has this whole plan. It's like the whole by the end, it's like nothing ever happened.
Yeah, no,
They
I love.
dispose of his body, and then they just sort of leave him. They just leave him there, and then they're like, "All right, I guess we got nothing to do. Let's before."
I got a little trivia for this the scrapyard scene.
Sure.
I think I got 2 bits. It's like first of all, there was a deleted scene I found like a year or 2 ago. Do you know who what I think his name is Dick.
Yes, he's
Dick
in Joe
Young?
Dante's movies.
Yeah. I can't remember his name. His name's Dick.
Dick Miller.
Dick Miller, I think. Yeah, Dick Miller had a deleted scene in Pulp Fiction where it's Dick Miller.
Yes, I did.
Classical character actor from like all the Corman era, all that stuff. Joe Dante. Yeah, he had a bit part in Pulp Fiction. He was the guy. He was Monster Truck Joe. He was the guy who owned the scrapyard. And there was a deleted scene with him and Wolf just talking, and I can kind of see why they got rid of it. It's kind of auxiliary, but it's cool to see Dick Miller in a Tarantino movie, honestly. Yeah. And the second fact is Julia Sweeney is in the scene, SNL alumni, and she is probably infamously best known for her role as Pat in It's Pat. And that came out after Pulp Fiction. I think what happened was she approached Tarantino. It's like, I got this comedy that I want to make. Could you help me write it? And so Tarantino rewrote a lot of It's Pat, and he was like a ghostwriter for it, and the movie still came out as shit. So he is attached to It's Pat. Unbelievably so.
Not know that. Oh my god.
I feel like I need to just sit through It's Pat. It's going to be excruciating, but I gotta see it for myself to believe it, that he tried to write.
I've seen so many bad things about it, but then I heard years later, I didn't even know it was a Saturday Night Live sketch, so I was like,
it was.
I guess I got to check it out someday, because I've seen most of those.
It's kind of got like this my best friend's birthday kind of thing, where it's like, I think Tarantino just can't write an abject comedy. He can have comedic bits, but he can't write a full-on comedy.
Yeah.
I just think he can't really push it forward or something, or it's just a mess. Yeah, so like sorry to interrupt. So after the scrapyard, they decide to have breakfast together.
Yeah, they still have time before meeting up with Marcellus and giving the briefcase. So yeah,
Sure.
they go grab bites to eat at a restaurant.
Get some brunch.
Unless you're watching the movie the first time, you slowly start to pick up. Wait a minute, this is the exact same restaurant at the very beginning with that random couple that just holds it up right at the very end.
Oh yeah, that happened 2 hours ago.
And speaking of that, like when we're introduced to like Tim Roth and Amanda Plummer at the beginning as Pumpkin and Honey Bunny, you hear amazing continuity in this scene where you actually like you're hearing background restaurant sounds as they're talking about different places you can stick up, and then they're like, wait, why don't we just stick up restaurants and all that? You can literally hear Jules in the background go, yeah, I was sitting there eating my muffin, drinking my coffee, da-da-da. Like, you hear it.
Yeah.
And then shortly after, when it cuts to, like, a reverse of...
Honey Bunny.
Honey Bunny,
and you see John Travolta. Yeah.
Yeah, you see Vincent walk by. It's such a... Like, the fact that, like, he put that in there, and, like, little subtle things in there shows that he cares about, like, cool continuity and like point of view filmmaking.
I wonder what it'd be like to cross cut these scenes together, like as if they're back to back. I wonder how each section would fit into one another.
Yeah.
I wonder that should be an experiment.
We get to almost like a great threshold with Jules when they pick up their conversation where they last left off on before Marvin's head goes fucking kaboom about Jules wants to now give up and walk the earth and get a little bit more out of life because he thinks I'm on here for a reason. God's looking out for me. Jules is just thinking you're just gonna be a bum and you should be working, and all that. And their conversation is very like it's interrupted too. Like you don't really it's an argument that doesn't really have a resolution to it.
Well, of course not. It's too different.
To the bathroom, and then we catch up with how we came into the film with, the restaurant getting held up. And that another little Lawrence Bender cameo when...
Yeah, yuppie scum, number 1.
You fucking hippie, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they hold up the place. They're like, all right, everybody, put your phones in the bag. They get up to Jules, and they're forcing him to open up this briefcase. And when he does, Tim Roth is transfixed on what's inside, and then Jules gets the upper hand and takes down Pumpkin, and
Yeah.
sits him down, and they're like, we're gonna have a talk, my friend.
Yeah, Ringo.
We're gonna have a fucking talk. Yeah, Ringo, yeah.
And
What
Yolanda.
reference is that? Why does he keep calling him Ringo?
I think he's because he's British and he has a very prominent nose, just like Ringo Starr. I think that's all.
Does Tim Roth actually have an English accent?
Who, Ringo Starr?
No. Tim Roth. Does he?
Yeah, he's a British. He's a British actor. That's why his American is kind of flimsy in Reservoir Dogs. You can kind of hear like different types of like kind of like pronunciation when he's doing an American accent. He's a British actor. That's why.
Every time I think of him, I think of an American accent. But anyways.
Yeah, no, he's a British actor.
Yeah, Jules has a very amazing arc, and like I feel the same way about how you feel about the Gold Watch. I think Jules, and actually just to end this all off on a nice bow, because I know we have more movies to talk about.
Yeah.
The thing that's so beautiful about Pulp Fiction is that when you compare it to Reservoir Dogs, where kind of the whole thing is just the resolution is just all of them shooting each other at the end, and like no one, you're kind of like yes, they all brought it on themselves, and everything's justified. But the beautiful thing about Pulp Fiction is that at the end of all three stories, somebody saves another one's life.
Yeah, and redeems themselves in a way.
Redeems themselves. Like Jules buys Pumpkin's life basically, and says, and the whole speech, the Ezekiel 25:17 speech, he realizes is a lot more deeper and meaningful than just me wanting to say some badass cold-blooded shit before I kill a motherfucker,
Yeah.
Like, he wants to be the shepherd. He talks about maybe it's a possibility, this could be life, or maybe it's this way. That would be nice, but it's not true.
That's not how shit is. Yeah.
What the reality is this, you're the weak, I'm the tyranny of evil men, but I'm trying to be the shepherd.
Yeah, no, it's cool that he has several different interpretations for what he says to people before he kills them. That's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if you picked up on this, but on the last shot where like they're walking away, he's like, I think we gotta get going now. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. And they jam their guns in their gym shorts, and they walk out. I don't know if you noticed this, and this is probably like a totally insignificant detail. Probably the reason why they cut was just to fit the beat of the music. But as like the surf is going on, and it's like and they exit the cafe. Jules and Vincent walk, and as soon as they leave, Vincent is in frame, but Jules isn't. And then the movie cuts to black because we're not done with Vincent's story. He has 2 more experiences to have before the end of the story. But wow. Jules's arc is completely wrapped up by the end of that story.
And
pay attention.
And that is why it's my favorite movie of all time, because anytime I watch it or have a discussion with somebody, I learn something new about it.
Exactly, man. I love that. It's almost like an Edgar Wright film. Like, there's just so many details you pick up the more and more you watch it and pay attention. And I like those types of movies.
It's a fucking masterpiece, man. I'm looking right behind you is the goddamn poster. I used to have the poster on my wall as well. Like, it's just...
Yeah, I got a poster in my place.
Oh, goddamn. It's a masterpiece. I can't say enough great things about it.
Yeah. I think we've had our fill for tonight. I think, massive success. Won Tarantino the 1994 Palme d'Or. He also won the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay with his friend Roger Avery. Have you watched his acceptance speech of the Oscar?
I've seen his acceptance speech at some other award show where actually Michael Moore was interviewing him and Roger and Lawrence Bender afterwards. And they were like quoting like Beavis and Butthead. It was like really weird.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like when he accepts his award, his first Oscar, in the beginning of his career, he and Roger Avery are totally yucking it up. They're either drunk or like pissed black out of it, because Tarantino's like kind of chuckling away, and they're accepting the award. Their speech is like less than a minute long or something. It's not even that much of a speech, and Roger Avery ends the fucking thing by quoting Forrest Gump. He's like, "I need to go pee," and they walk off the stage with their Oscars. And I'm like, what the fuck? I will say this about Roger Avery. This is like a little personal experience of mine. I was on this one my first set. I used to be a grip. when I was doing film work. I don't do it anymore. I don't like doing it anymore. But when I just started off doing rigging, we were driven to this. It was just me and another guy for a small job. We were driven by this one guy, this one key grip, to this production office. And as soon as he parked, I looked over, and the parking space next to us was none other than Roger Avery's, because he works in Toronto. And I thought that blew my fucking mind. I was like, oh my god, the guy who like co-wrote my all-time favorite movie, and I'm at his workplace. And we actually entered the building, and I just looked into his office, and he had like a poster of Johnny Mnemonic and like Pulp Fiction, of course. And I was like thinking to myself, this guy sits here. I didn't get to see him, but like it was fascinating to me just to like kind of bump into that on set. I was the only one taking it in too. Everyone else was just like, let's just drink coffee and work. I was like, no, this is so cool. This is the guy who wrote Pulp Fiction. Unfortunately, his career kind of like sank, and he actually got some jail time for, I think, like some sort of car incident. I believe he got into a car accident with someone, or it was like a hit and run kind of deal. I don't think he killed anyone, but like it was just like a bad. He had to do some jail time for it, but then because like he's so busy, they gave him like a sentence where it's like you can spend like a couple days in jail and then spend the rest of it kind of surveilled, but you get to do what you do. And then like he complained about it on. Holy shit! It was a manslaughter charge. Yeah, he was under suspicion of a manslaughter and DUI charge.
Oh shit!
In California, and like, yeah, he was like sentenced to 1 year in furlough, which is like when you're in a furlough facility, you can like spend like a couple days there, because like some people they have too many commitments to like just drop everything. So he did that, and then he would go back to like, you know, his day-to-day grind, and he'd have 5 years of probation. But he made tweets about it on Twitter, complaining about the situation endlessly, to the point where the judge is like, you know what, fuck you, you're going to jail. You're going to spend county jail for the remainder of your term. So yeah, he had to spend like 1 year in jail because of that, all because of Twitter. It's exactly why I don't want fucking Twitter. So many people ruin their lives with it.
He's one of the screenwriters of Beowulf.
Yeah, I'm looking at it too. You did Beowulf, Silent Hill, The Rules of Attraction. Yeah. There's a couple things here, yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing a few more of his works. It's kind of a shame. I don't know why he kind of stopped working with Tarantino after Pulp Fiction, but I don't know, man. These things happen.
Oh. Here's one thing that, okay, well, I know we definitely got to keep moving.
We got to keep moving, Cody, but okay, go on.
But apparently he's credited as the background radio dialogue from Reservoir Dogs. So he helped write the K. Billy's Super Sounds of the 70s stuff with Stephen Wright.
Stephen Wright is so amazing in Reservoir Dogs. I love the sound of his voice.
The K. Billy's Super Sounds of the 70s just keeps on trucking.
We're gonna go to the Monster Park Jam with starring the Behemoth. Who says it like that? Behemoth. All right.
Now
stop. Enough Pulp Fiction. Good night.
Yes, Pulp Fiction. Everyone, go fucking see it.